Hi 7th graders, I hope you've been doing well. Today we are going to continue Unit 3 and we are going to work on Lesson 3, which is the distributive property. Our learning target for today is I can simplify algebraic expressions using the distributive property. Alright, so what the distributive property is, here's what it is in words. To multiply a number by a sum, multiply each number inside the parentheses by the number outside the parentheses. So that may sound confusing, but here's what it means in symbols. So we're going to use different letters. So let's say we have a number on the outside, and then we have parentheses with two numbers on the inside that are being added together. What this means is we're going to distribute this A to both of these. So we are going to take A times B plus A times C. Okay? So that's one way that you might see a distributive property problem. You might also see it as B plus C times A. So A might be on the back side of your parentheses. And it still means the exact same thing. We're going to distribute that A to both numbers. So we're really taking B times A plus C times A. Okay, now I'm going to show you a few practice problems. So let's do a few examples with numbers. Let's say I have 2 times 1 plus 3 in parentheses. What we're really going to do is we're going to take 2 times 1 plus 2 times 3. Well, we know these multiplication facts. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 plus 6 gives you 8. Okay, now let's do an example of this problem. Let's say I have 5 plus 3 in parentheses with a 2 on the outside. I'm going to distribute that 2 to both the 3 and the 5. So we're going to take 5 times 2 plus 3 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 3 times 2 is 6. 10 plus 6 gives us 16. Alright, so that's what the distributive property is. So let's look at a few more examples. Number 1, we are going to use the distributive property to write each expression as an equivalent expression, then evaluate it. So the first thing we need to do is I like to draw arrows showing I'm multiplying the 2 times the 6 and times the 4. So I'm taking 2 times 6 plus 2 times 4. And now let's solve it. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 4 is 8. 12 plus 8 gives us 20. Alright, let's practice another one. 8 times 3 plus 5 in parentheses. So again, I'm going to multiply the 8 times the 3 and the 8 times the 5. So I'm taking 8 times 3 plus 8 times 5. Alright, 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 5 is 40. So I'm really taking 24 plus 40, which gives us 64. I want you to try number 3 on your own and then come back and see if you got the same thing. Alright, number 3, I'm still distributing this 9 to both the 1 and to the 7. So this time I'm taking 9 times 1 minus 9 times 7. 9 times 1 is 9, minus 9 times 7 is 63. So I'm taking 9 minus 63, which is a negative 54. Alright, so we just learned what the distributive property is. Now let's talk about how we can simplify algebraic expressions using the distributive property. So what simplifying means is it means we are going to use the rules of arithmetic. So arithmetic is just like your rules of numbers, and algebra to write an expression at its lowest terms. Alright, that's what simplify means. So I'll explain what simplify means and how we'll do it for our number 1. So I'm taking 5 times x plus 4. we need to distribute this 5 to both the x and the 4. When I'm taking 5 times x, that's just going to give us 5x. But let's rewrite this. So I have 5 times x plus 5 times 4. 5 times x is really just 5x. You can't simplify that any other way. And then 5 times 4 is 20. And that's all we have to do, because I can't simplify a 5x with a 20. I can't make that be like 25x. It doesn't work like that because these terms are different. Oops. So your answer is just 5x plus 20. Let's look at number 2. This time we're doing the exact same thing. I'm distributing this 2 to the x and 2 to the 6. So I'm taking 2 times x plus 2 times 6. 2 times x is 2x, plus 2 times 6 is 12. I can't simplify them anymore because I have an x and I have just a plain number. Let's try number 3. I have 8 times 2x minus 6. So we're going to take the 8 times the 2x and the 8 times the 6. So I'm taking 8 times 2x minus 8 times 6. So here's the trickier part with 8 times 2x. We still need to take 8 times 2, which is 16, with our x on the end. So I have 16x minus 8 times 6 is 48. I cannot simplify 16x minus 48 anymore, so I am done. Alright, I want you to try the next 3 on your own and come back and check your work. So this time I have negative 6 in parentheses x minus 4. We're going to do the same thing. This negative 6 is going to be multiplied times the x and times the 4. So I have negative 6 times x minus negative 6 times 4. Alright, so I have negative 6 times x, which just gives me negative 6x, minus negative 6 times 4 is a negative 24. And then one thing I want to note is that if I have 2 negative signs right next to each other, like right up here, that's really a plus. So I could rewrite this to look nicer, negative 6x plus 24. And that's the exact same thing. Alright, let's look at number 5. Negative 4 times 5x and negative 4 times 9. So I have negative 4 times 5x plus negative 4 times 9. Alright, negative 4 times 5x. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20 with my x on the end. Plus a negative 4 times 9 gives us a negative 36. And we are all done. If you wanted, you could write this as negative 20x minus 36, so that you don't have the 2 signs, but either works. Alright, and our last problem. I have 1/3 times 6x plus 15. I'm going to carry this 1/3 over to both numbers. So I have 1/3 times 6x plus 1/3 times 15. This is the tricky one. 1/3 times 6x. I could rewrite this so that it's 6 over 1 times x. And now that I'm multiplying my fractions, I can multiply them and get my answer pretty easily. 1 times 6 is 6, 3 times 1 is 3, and then I still have the x on the end. But 6/3 really simplifies to 2x. Okay, let's do the same thing for our 15. 15 over 1. 1 times 15 is 15. 3 times 1 is 3. 15 divided by 3 gives you 5. So your answer is really 2x plus 5. Alright, we are just about done. We have 2 more definitions to fill out. A factor are numbers that are multiplied together to get a product. Okay, factoring is writing a sum or difference as the product of factors. Alright, so a factor is numbers that are multiplied together to get a product, and factoring is writing a sum or difference as the product of factors. So here's what factoring is. We need to factor this problem using the distributive property. So to do that, we want to think, what number can I pull out of both 4x and 16? And an easy one that I like to start with is this number right in front. Let's try pulling a 4 out. Can I pull a 4 out of 16? I can. So here's how I would write this. I'm pulling a 4 out of both of them, so that 4 goes on the outside. And now I think, what's left? Well, 4x divided by 4 just gives us x left. And then I have a plus. And then we have to figure out what's 16 divided by 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So our factor is 4 times x plus 4. And we can check to make sure this is right by using the distributive property. 4 times x plus 4 times 4. This gives me 4x plus 16, which was exactly the same as I got up there. So I am done. Let me erase this to make it look nice. That is my answer. Okay, now let's go to number 2. I have negative 7x minus 35. So the first question we want to ask ourselves is, what could I pull out of both of those numbers? I like to start with this number right in front. Could I pull a negative 7 out of the 35? Yeah, I could. So let's divide both of them by negative 7. So I'm pulling this negative 7 out, so that's going on the outside of my parentheses. Negative 7 divided by negative 7 is just 1, but we have our x, so it's really x. And then negative 35 divided by negative 7 gives us a plus 5. Now we can check this to make sure it's right. Negative 7 times x plus negative 7 times 5. This gives me negative 7x minus 35, which is exactly what I got up there, so I am done. Alright, you try number 3 on your own, and then come back and see what you got. Alright, so when we do number 3, we need to think, what numbers could I pull out of both of 9x and 21? I always like to start with this 9. I know I can pull a 9 out of 9. Could I pull a 9 out of 21, leaving a nice number? No, I can't. So that means I can't pull a 9 out. So what other numbers could I pull out of a 9 and a 21? Yeah, I could pull out a 3. So that 3 is going on the outside. 9 divided by 3 gives us 3x. And then 21 divided by 3 gives us 7. And let's just double check our work to make sure we got it right. 3 times 3x minus 3 times 7. 3 times 3x is 9x minus 21. That's what we got, so we are done. So factoring kind of takes some backwards thinking, but once you start getting the hang of it, you'll be able to pick up on it very quickly. If none of that made sense, I would like you to message me on Schoology. Otherwise, you can go ahead and get started working on your assignments. And if you made it all the way to the end of the video, you can message me the word, what word should I do today? You can message me the words mashed potatoes to get a bonus point on your assignment. Nice job. Bye, 7th